What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wars in the Stars movie reviews, episode number 7 for us. This is going
Jesus.
to be our review of Thor, Love and Thunder. Alex, how's it going, my man?
It's not just us who are here to talk about it. I have a special guest I didn't tell you about.
Yeah?
He's right here.
Ah,
He likes to just hover around. He suddenly got a personality in between movies, so
correct.
he's saying hi.
Did he enjoy
Um,
his first beer?
no,
He didn't
he
like it?
he got drunk and started being a bad guy. So
Oh, okay.
happens to the best of us, buddy.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I've been good. I literally got out of the theater an hour ago, so it was good. I will say I'm probably going to be speaking a lot out of like recency bias, so but I'm pretty on the nail with how I feel. I think this is the most like objective I felt about a movie coming out of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I watched this film last night. Today I was out all day. I played a couple of rounds of mini golf with the family. Went out a state, so was
Fun,
on the
fun.
internet much. I know though I've seen some controversy. This film is definitely divisive. It's definitely like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Definitely divisive in that way. I think this was gonna be a great discussion because I think we both don't know a lot about each other's thoughts. So
Yeah,
uh, I guess do we want to give just our non-spoiler quick thoughts before we get into spoilers? Just how
yeah,
you overall felt about it.
sure, absolutely. In terms of non-spoiler thoughts, I really enjoyed this film. I had some problems with some certain aspects of some of the characters. Um, I just felt like some characters could have used more screen time. I feel like some characters got too much screen time. Um, Again, a little disappointed with some of the aspects of certain characters, and I'll get onto it in our spoiler section. But yeah, again, overall, really enjoyed the movie. Just have some problems, and you know what? Again, overall, fun film. So
Yeah, I would say this film's good, like okay to
yeah,
good range.
yeah.
I think it has some very glaring issues, like very glaring issues, and I don't think it has to do necessarily with characters. It just has to do with basic plot structure and uh narrative things that just
Yeah.
that didn't work for me at all. And pacing.
It's funny because you keep talking about pacing, but I thought the film was like pretty well paced. I didn't feel like
Oh, no, no,
I
no,
didn't
no.
I didn't feel like when the best I can compare this to is like the Rise of Skywalker, Doctor Strange. I didn't feel like too much was happening, or no, better comparison for the relevance of this conversation. Thor Ragnarok, the first like 25 minutes of that movie, I didn't feel like, oh wow, this happened. Wow, okay, it's been 20 minutes. Can we like slow down?
I feel like with this film, one of the reasons I gave it an 8 was just because of the ending alone. The last 20 to 30 minutes, I think, of like some of the best stuff I think in Phase 4 and maybe the MCU. Like, I absolutely love it. I think it's one of the
Really?
bolder decisions. Yeah, I think it's one of the bolder decisions the MCU has made. And
Okay.
it is a divisive ending. I know this. I know it's divisive. I think we might
Really?
disagree on it.
Really? You've seen division
Yeah,
about the ending? I haven't seen anything.
but at the very end, but some of the end stuff. It's a Taika film in nature. It's
Yeah.
it's very Taika in its film. I mean, I like Taika's stuff, but this wasn't Taika's best work by far. This was
No.
not his best work.
No. I still think Ragnarok was a much better film on for many reasons.
Oh yeah.
Um I with me with this film, I think I just struggled
I
to
mean, with the you said before when you texted me, you gave this an 8.75. Now, if it was an 8.75 for me, that would put it like in the top 10 of the MCU. Would you say
no.
this is a top 10 MCU film?
No, but all my top 10s are at least 9s or above, so or at least or here's my thing is I think 8.75 again, that might have been like immediate thoughts. I think I'm after thinking about it for about 45 minutes, I think I'll raise it down to an 8. Um which again, it's not a bad movie. I
No.
think because I think we're going to talk about some things that we're going to sound really negative. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie with bad problems.
Oh
I think
yeah,
that's
like very glaring
I
issues.
I think if you want I think if you want the best kind of sum up review of it, that's it. It's a great movie that has a lot of problems.
Um, yeah. So let's get into our spoiler thoughts now. If you haven't seen the film, leave. Um, Alex, I'll let you go first since you just kind of saw it and you could kind of sputter my mind back into gears about this film. I have been thinking about it all day, but just so I can remember some things. Yeah, just go ahead. What do you want to talk about first?
The opening. Very interesting opening. We did not open on the Marvel credits. We actually open on Gore and his daughter's death.
Yep.
Surprising. It was a good opening.
Yes, it was a really good opening, and I knew who it was right away. Right when I saw the
Mhm.
desert, I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, they're going this way."
I was like, oh shit, we're starting right off the gates with Gore. All right. It was really good. I like Gore's pre Necrosword curse. I liked it. I like his design. Um, his daughter's weird for me. It's, by the way, fun fact, it's Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
Yep.
So it's got that going for it. I don't know, just because one of Gore's main attributes in the comics is, he prays to the gods a lot, and we only saw him do it once, and then he gets corrupted by the Necrosword, and it's just like, oh, fuck the gods now. So I'm gonna get into it a lot. I'm not a massive fan of Gore's character.
So yeah, you feel like his. So it's kind of like sounds like you're saying you feel like his motivations are lacking.
Yes, because again, the big thing is in the comics, and I know, I'm that guy talking about the comics when I talk about an MCU movie. They're important to his character development, regardless, because we know the run that he's based off of. He prays to the gods a lot, and I think that's probably my biggest problem with Gore. He wasn't on screen a lot, very sparsely used, and I feel like Gore could have used like 5 more minutes. Because that's the thing, is I didn't understand his motivation. Okay, his daughter died because of the gods. One of the gods that he was worshiping was a dick, and so
The God.
the god. And so,
By the way, do we have a name?
no, I don't remember, but he prays to him and whatnot, and then he goes on this thing because the Necro Sword lets him kill all gods. It's the sword that kills the gods, basically. And then all of a sudden, his motivations at the end of the movie just switch because, and I don't know how I feel about it. He goes from wanting to kill all the gods, being like, okay, I want my daughter back. He seems like, the best way that I can describe this? He feels like a very, very, very exaggerated version of the Spider-Man 3 Sandman. I got a daughter. I lost my daughter. Did you know I have a daughter? Or had a daughter? That's what he reminds me of. He reminds me of a more menacing Sandman.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I thought he had really good motivations, and it was really quick. It was really quick, right? So obviously we open up, he's praising to his god. His daughter dies, like literally dies
Yes.
from the desolate conditions, very comic-esque in nature.
Yep.
Then literally right after, he hears voices and he's in this tropical luscious land where he like is in water. This is probably like the first time this dude's been in water for I don't know how long.
Yeah,
He
it
then
gets
finds
food.
fruit.
Yeah.
He finds food, and then his god basically calls him a savage, a lesser human, a lesser life form. And Gore goes on about how he's a disciple. He's passed on the teachings or the beliefs of this god, and this god's basically like, yeah, those don't really matter. I was never going to give you what I promised.
Yeah.
Which is Gore thought it was like eternal peace, right? Eternal paradise. And Gore is like visibly upset, very upset. But with on top of that, the Necrosword comes to him because he's in a moment of grief. He's in a moment of upset feelings. His whole world's been turned upside down.
Yep.
And the Necro Sword, again, I wish there was more explanation about it because it's just like, yep, this thing could kill
Yeah.
gods. It's been around
Yeah.
for a very long time,
Yeah.
and that was it.
And I think the problem with the Necro Sword in the comics, it's very tied to Null, the god of the symbiotes, and Marvel Studios / Disney doesn't have the film rights to those Sony properties. So
Correct.
they kind of just said, "Hey, it's a very powerful sword that can kill gods. Why can it kill gods? That doesn't matter. It can just kill the gods. That's all that matters."
Right.
So,
And essentially, Gore is then corrupted, takes the Necro Sword, and kills his god that he once worshipped, and then he has
very violent kill, by the way.
Yeah, but then he just had
him in the throat.
Then he just has gold blood come out. So it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But then he gives us
weird that they bleed gold. Super weird.
But then he gives his vow. Oh God, must I?
And then,
by the way, I gotta say before we get into it, he's the best fucking part of this film.
Yes,
by far.
love
Bale is one of the best episodes.
I literally was talking about it. I was like, he is what I imagine if Batman and Joker were like true bad guys, morphed into one person.
But I have to ask you. So I gave the comparison to Pennywise. Did you get that?
Nope, I got it to Joker.
No.
Yes. Yeah, I literally felt like I was watching Heath Ledger, Joker. I was like, wow. I understand the Pennywise thing because he's creepy and whatnot.
Kids. He literally terrorized kids.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which, by the way, he was more of Gore the Terrorizer than Gore the God Butcher.
Dude, no. Don't even get me started. Gore the God Butcher, people, in this movie killed a total of
one god,
one person. And then I'm sorry, I think this movie suffers a lot from the misuse of a lot of characters. Lady Sif, her return was so hyped at the premiere, like, oh my goodness, you're coming back to the Thor franchise. You know, you were absent from Ragnarok. We're so excited for you. She had 2 lines of dialogue in this movie, and maybe 3 minutes, or no, maybe like a minute and a half total of screen time.
She got her arm chopped off. Which, and then to go back to the open, yeah, I disagree. I thought his motivations were very clearly established and were really well done, especially in such a short time span.
But I think my problem is like, yeah, okay, I get it. You're mad because the gods didn't help you and they were frauds. But why? But like it was just your god. Why would you assume all gods are like this? And then again, his motivations at the end of the movie just suddenly changed. Oh, I want my daughter back, even though I know I'm going to die. By the way, just to skip to the ending real fast, I genuinely thought he was going to wish Jane's cancer away. And then he didn't. He brought his daughter back to put on someone else.
I think it's a beautiful ending for him because he goes from hating these gods, believes that they will not be there for anybody, that they're disloyal, they're just frauds, essentially, to him. Figment of our imagination that amalgamate to nothing. They're just nothing. They're there, and Zeus is a perfect representation of what some gods are like, and Gore is right in that instance with characters like Zeus, as we see in this film.
Yeah.
But there's something beautiful about him going from hating gods to being disillusioned with them to then trusting a god to take his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
There's something really beautiful about that. And his arc in this film was just really, really well done.
Yeah.
And if we want to keep talking about the ending, I told you yesterday, I said it's a really good ending, and I really love it. I really like this journey for Thor. I'm really excited.
You're gonna hate me. I did not like the ending of this movie.
You don't like how he's a father now?
No, I did not. I do not find him being a father interesting. My problem is this. Okay?
No, his character. Okay, let me tell you. I'll explain why. His character is starting to feel very stale. It's even joked about a little bit in this movie. Like Chris Pratt as Star
Mhm.
Lord's like, dude, buddy, it's been 1,000 years and you still haven't figured yourself out. Like we've
Yeah.
had 4 films, but this dude's still trying to figure himself out. Now I feel like he's complete. Like he has lost everybody basically now. He kind of resolved his relationship with Jane. Loki's gone. His parents are gone. Asgard's burnt again. Like whatever's going on with them. Now he has this new. He's entered a new stage in his life. He's going to be a parent now. He's got to learn how to be a father. That's a very compelling story. Because essentially, if it was just him being chased by spoilers, Hercules, I would have been like, dude, this is so boring. This is not because to me, what matters is development. He feels very stale. Like he does feel stale at this point in the MCU. With a daughter now, that's much more compelling. Him having to, teach his daughter like how to be a hero. And by the way, she's insanely powerful, like a being
Yes.
born of eternity,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
I hope there's more than to eternity than he's just a wishing well. Uh,
Yeah. Oh my goodness! When they said he's basically just a wishing well, I was just like, he is one of the most powerful beings ever, and he's a fucking wishing well now. I mean, hey, pretty cool. Like the visual of Gore on the ground in the water with his
yes.
daughter as Eternity is like, oh, what a shot!
By the way, this movie is beautiful. I told you it looks great.
So good, dude. The volume was expertly used in this. Could you imagine Kenobi or The Mandalorian with this movie's budget with the use of the volume?
Like the lighting was fantastic. Every time, like the
Perfect.
lighting is like, oh my god.
Perfect.
You would think it would be too bright, but I'm like, damn, the lighting
No.
is really good.
Yeah. I mean, it I literally just thought like, wow, this is a really beautiful film to just look at. Like just so many great shots. You know, Thor in the beginning of the movie when he brings Stormbreaker down on a
Yeah.
thing. Beautiful shot. Gore is like, I know he's scary, but he's a beautiful character to look at. It's also weird, and I'm gonna run into some problems.
By the way,
When
we were talking about the ending, so do you want to
oh
go
yeah,
back
yeah.
to that and give your problems on? Because I feel like it
Again,
adds to his character who was
again,
feeling
yes,
stale.
it feels nice to know that he's gonna have a new story of like, oh, I'm going to, I'm gonna have to be a dad now. But I think my big thing is we get Mighty Thor, then she dies, and my problem now is just like, yeah, he's gonna be a dad, but like, cool. It's like my thing is just like, wow, that feels all right, I guess. You know what would make it even better? If Jane was still alive and the mom. That's my problem with the ending of this movie. Jane didn't have to die. She didn't.
Eh,
There was no reason for Jane to die.
yeah, there kind of was. Absolutely.
Not really. Because, again, I know I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to go back to the comics. She gets revived and becomes a Valkyrie. I don't want to see her be a Valkyrie. I want to see her be the mighty Thor. There's still so much I do not get about her and being Thor. Because my thing with this is yes, the story sticks true to the comics. Whenever she powers up as the mighty Thor, it reverses the chemo and it ends up killing her. The hammer is killing her as she powers up. But my thing was, why didn't Thor just bring Mjolnir with him? He proved that he could still pick it up and use it, so Jane could still be alive if he would have just brought the hammer and Zeus's lightning rod with him. That's my problem. It's just like there was no reason to die. All Thor had to do was take Mjolnir with him, and Jane could still be alive.
Well, my thing is yeah, in practical sense, Thor could have done that, but we also have to remember that Thor, even though he picked it up, he was just seeing if he could still pick it up. But what does he do? He gave it right back to Jane because she was the one who was truly worthy of the hammer at that time. And he still felt that way. He still believed it. So I think it would have been a little weird if he took it, but be like, I'm just going to take this now. It's like, well, you are
No,
worthy of it, but like, it's not yours. Like, that thing was
but
Jane's in this
my
film.
thing is this is just like I just think from a practical standpoint, I feel like him and Jane could have been like, yeah, Jane, you're in no way, shape, or form able to even do this right now. It would just be better if I take it, have two weapons going and fighting Gore than one. Which, by the way, I still think Zeus's lightning rod is now one of my favorite weapons. Thor powers up all those kids. Could you imagine if he didn't put in that temporary time as with the powers of Thor? All those children have their own little Mjolnir. The girl with the plushie shooting the lasers out of its eyes. Oh my
Wasn't
goodness.
a big fan.
No, dude, my whole theater was laughing.
It felt a little cringe to me. I can't lie. That was like,
Nah,
I was
man.
like, this is such a Taika thing, and I'm like, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it. I'm not loving seeing kids with the power of Thor. I'm not loving
I
this at all.
did.
I
I
thought it was
did.
cringe. I thought it was really cringe.
Nah,
Plus, it's also
man.
not explained how that worked. Plus, there's a lot of like, this film to me, and this is a kind of a non-spoiler thing. There needed to be extra scenes, like
Yeah.
from the time that Gore gets Stormbreaker to like the time Thor goes back to the middle or to the epicenter of the universe. I'm like, shouldn't there be a scene explaining like how he knows where to go and like a scene where he's like grieving over the fact that he's about to die? I'm like, it just felt like stuff was missing for me. Like they somehow find the shadow. I mean, they know how to get to the shadow realm, but like there was just stuff missing for me. Like I'm like, I needed an extra scene here. This film is it is very clunky. Like it is very clunky.
Well,
Like
my problem with this is it's just like to me, I don't feel like it's clunky. I just don't feel like there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of things that were being shown, but there's not a lot of follow up to it.
so,
And so that's my problem.
I want to kind of go back to the uh the end. So again, can you elaborate more on uh, what's the problem with him having a daughter? Like, how is that not interesting?
Just to me, it's just like this, okay?
You would rather that Jane would still be alive and that it was a mother and a
A
father.
mother father relationship. To me, with Thor, I'm just like, woo.
But like,
You're a father, or not even a father, an uncle, nonetheless.
right? But I gotta ask, what is Jane's story after this? What's like like really compelling?
Her being the mighty Thor, her figuring out how to be a hero.
Well, she has that in this film.
Yeah, but
We're
she
doing good,
fucking
my man. We're doing good. Thank you for asking.
yes.
But she figures that out. But she's always been like that. She's always stuck her face out to fight evil, right? We see that in the first Thor film, right? We see that in Thor: The Dark
Um,
World. She literally slaps Loki in the face for what happened at the Battle of New York. She was never capable of fighting a superhero, but she was doing it in her own way with being an astrophysicist, being a genius scientist. Um, yeah, like I didn't need to see Jane go on this massive hero's journey because she's always been a hero in her own way. It was for her arc in this film was to still be that hero even though she was dying. And I didn't need to see that over and over again because it was like it was very depressing. Obviously, as a lot of people have family members who've had cancer or
yeah.
have cancer themselves. So I thought that was really like well done. And I'm like, I didn't need to see them keep going to that well. But like Thor having like a child is very compelling to me because it's like the last character you would think who would be a
Yeah.
father. I don't even think we see a lot of. Do we even see that in the comics? Him have be like a father, or
Let me look it up.
I mean, it's not. If it's not common knowledge, then it's if you don't know it, then
Well,
I
that's
mean,
just like I don't keep up with like Thor really.
But it's
Uh,
really an interesting turn for his character, a character that at this point,
oh, yeah, no, he does not have a daughter in the comics.
yeah, it's a great twist. I can't wait to see where it goes because it's going to add a layer to his character. Like now he's got to figure out, how do I be a parent? How do I navigate being a god in this universe? Like there's a whole new dilemma
Yeah.
to it.
My other
Uh,
thing is just like
while being chased down by Hercules, obviously in the
that's
next
the
film.
other thing is just like, we all wanted, you know, I mean, you didn't want it to just be a Hercules versus Thor, but that's what it's going to be, and his daughter's just going to be a part of it. And
Right, but
so,
his daughter is going to serve as a way to further his character. That again, if you don't have his daughter, I don't know how you further his character. Oh, a god's chasing after him. Really? I mean, obviously, I really don't think Thor 5 that Hercules is the big bad. It's
dude,
Zeus.
I cannot believe we are potentially getting a Thor 5 movie. That is crazy to me that we are about to have currently right now. We're about to have half the amount of Thor movies makes up half of the current Star Wars movie count. That's crazy to me. That's
Yeah,
crazy to me.
yeah,
I could not. If you had told me that, like, oh yeah, at one point Thor's gonna have almost half the amount of movies Star Wars in total does, I would have been like,
yeah.
nah, Thor's probably gonna die at some point. And it's just like, whew, no, 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 we're gonna have a Thor. What do you think the name of Thor 5 is gonna be? I think it's inevitable we're gonna get one. What would you name it?
I have no idea.
I don't know, man. I think another big thing I want to talk about in this movie, I think we talked about the ending quite enough. The humor. I don't know if it was just me. The humor in this movie wasn't good. It felt, I'm gonna get some flack. It felt like the Last Jedi humor. It felt like ha ha ha. Damn.
I mean,
Because
I think the one scene the one scene that I laugh my ass off all the time with Ragnarok is when Loki projects into the fighting arena, and then when he disappears and Korg comes running around
pissed
the
off
corner,
ghost.
he kicks it. That one gets me all the time.
Yes.
In this film, there is a good one, and it's when Heimdall's son, which I love him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Axel is trying to tell them his name,
Mm-hmm.
and Korg
Yeah.
goes, "Hey, listen to Axel."
Listen, nah, dude. There was one thing, and look, you're gonna fucking hate me for this. There was one scene, bro, I started dying at. It was when Jane told Thor she had cancer, bro. It was the most sudden. I have cancer. I literally,
Somebody laughed right
I
next to me, and I looked at him like, "What the what?"
She went, I have cancer. And I went like this.
Somebody was next to me. I'm like, "How is that funny?"
Dude, it was just the most abrupt thing ever. Like Thor is pouring his heart and his emotion. I have cancer.
How are you still laughing at this?
Dude, I was just like, why would you respond to that like that?
Well, she was panicked. She was flustered. She didn't know how to say it, so she got it right out. I can't believe you laughed at that because I had somebody right next to me die laughing. I'm like, "What the? You're an evil human being." Now I think the same about you. I can't believe you even said that, bro. I knew you were gonna say that. I have a weird feeling you were gonna say something stupid
There
like
was
that.
so many people in my theater who started laughing at that.
Wow, there was like
It
one in
was-
mine.
It was just so abrupt.
Yeah, but this film is not like it's more. It has more comedy than Ragnarok, but it is a worse comedy film.
Worst comedic film. I feel like also, and I'm gonna say this.
Like the goats were funny, but after a while, like
Yes.
after a while, like after every rewatch, when I see just goats screaming, I'm not gonna laugh. I mean, it was funny at first.
Yeah. Yeah, I just couldn't, bro. I was just like, I just like, bro, I was like, I literally thought something like, who wrote that? Who wrote that? I was like, I know Taika directed it, but who wrote that? That's effed up. Because my thing is this: is it? I think that line was supposed to be a thing. If you laugh, you're an awful person if you laugh. But you cannot convince me, Drew. That line was not made so that we could just be, oh no. It was meant to make us feel awful for laughing.
I think so. I think so.
And look, do I feel awful? Fuck no. Who talks like that?
I have cancer.
I have cancer. I literally was just like,
I can't believe you laughed at that.
I literally was just like, what? You know what? I thought George Lucas wrote that line for a second, bro. I was just like,
You thought that was Anakin and Natalie Portman as Padme?
Yeah, and I honestly, I just remembered why I was upset at the ending, and I just remembered now.
Yep.
Because I was looking it up to make sure I wasn't crazy. We both know, Drew, where the MCU is going. We're going to Secret Wars. Right. And would you like to know who dies in Secret Wars?
Thor and Hercules.
Thor and Hercules die in Secret Wars.
Together.
So could you imagine this movie ending on a happy note, just so that when we see Thor next, he likely dies?
Well, I don't think he'll die in his own film, but I think he will die in this.
I'm talking in Secret. I don't think we're going to get Thor 5 before Secret Wars.
Yeah. Now, if that's the case, then I don't think he'll die. I don't. I assume that they'll want to complete the second trilogy, right?
Dude, could you imagine a second trilogy of Thor movies, bro?
Out of all the characters, Thor gets 2 trilogies.
Not Iron Man, not Captain America.
Well, Cap technically, but not with.
But not Steve Rogers. Right. Sam Wilson will get his own, I'm presuming, trilogy.
Correct.
It's just crazy, bro. It's just like, I don't know. I feel weird just because, when we look at where the MCU is going, again, we got the setup. Incursions, the multiverse. Technically, if you want to go off the comics, we are missing one key opponent, and that's Doom. But I think me and you are both in agreement. It's not going to be Doom who's the constructor of this event. It's going to be Kang the Conqueror. So, I don't know. I honestly hope they don't stick to the Secret Wars event death list, because Spider-Man dies, Thor dies, Bruce Banner dies, Cap's already dead, so presumably Sam Wilson. It's just like, hey, yo, I don't want that.
I doubt they go with that same list, but to go back to this film, what else you got? What else you want?
I want to talk about the place where Gore goes with Stormbreaker, because I got some problems with that. I do not like how easily Gore used Stormbreaker. Now, we have to remember, Stormbreaker does not have the worthy charm on it. It's not a worthy thing. But the fact that Gore was so easily able to use Stormbreaker's powers was a tad bit upsetting. Because it's just, I could understand when Axel used it because he still had the powers of Thor running through him. But why could Gore do it? I feel like they definitely should have explained that in the movie.
Yeah, I agree. There's little things like that I'm like to see Gore's minions running around, the spider things he created. I was like, this is so boring. Every time, and they fights him 3 times in this film.
Yeah, so he fights him in New Asgard. He fights him in the Shadow Realm, and then he fights him in, I don't even know what that place is called. The place in front of the Living Tribunal and Eternity and whatnot.
Right, which, by the way, it makes it seem like the Living Tribunal and the Watcher are dead.
Well, no. It makes it, to me, feel like... Because we have to think, that's probably if you want to think about it, probably Omnipotent City. That's probably just a place for those beings. Because we saw Celestial, we saw most likely Death, Eon, Infinity, and whatnot. We saw either Uatu or one of the Watchers. We saw the Living Tribunal.
But they're statues, so it makes me think that.
But the big thing is they're interactive statues. We see them moving during the scenes. We can see them visibly moving. So I wonder if that's maybe a place where, like, say that I wanted to go there to go see the Living Tribunal, his statue would take the place of Eternity, where Eternity was at the far end. So maybe it's a thing that maybe those people can sense who you're trying to go see, and they take the
Yeah.
foreground place.
Yeah, it was just also very weird how Thor knew where to go. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
really weird because it's just like,
there was no
um,
sense of doom when he lost Stormbreaker because it was a big thing in the Shadow Realm. Like,
yeah,
Jade found out his plan was to get Stormbreaker so he could travel to Bifrost, and then like he loses Stormbreaker, and I expect them to be all doom and gloom. He's like, no, I am taking Zeus is lightning bolt, and I'm getting there. And he just got there. I'm like, I could have used a scene. Like that's what I'm saying about this film. It's like I could have used an extra
yeah.
scene here.
Not enough substance in this movie.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I do want to get before we get back into the movie, I want to have a deeper discussion. Okay, you
Yeah,
really enjoy this film. You like this film.
I love this movie. I think the best way to look at it is I think it's better than Thor 1 and 2. I just don't think it's better than Ragnarok. I think it has good qualities, but
Now,
problems.
in Phase 4, we can also do this. Where would you
Yeah,
rank it amongst Phase 4 films?
films. So I think we're definitely both in agreement. No Way Home is that one.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange is that. Honestly, I'm kind of flipping and flopping between Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi.
yeah,
So I'll tie. I'll put for now because I definitely would. I think in a rewatchability thing, I'd rather rewatch Doctor Strange than Shang-Chi.
okay.
And then I'd put Thor: Love and Thunder. And then we'd put
Eternals, Black Widow.
Eternals, Black Widow.
Yeah, I would agree, but like I think there's a gap between
There's a
like
big,
it's the first three, and then there's four,
and
five,
then
six.
yeah, and there's like No Way Home, small gap, Multiverse of Madness, small gap, Shang-Chi, big gap, Thor: Love and
Right.
Thunder,
I agree. I agree with
big
that.
gap, Eternals,
Well,
big gap.
I would say big gap, but I'd
Oh,
say
I
it's a
prefer that.
sizable gap
Big gap.
between Thor: Love and Thunder and Eternals.
Yeah.
I and then like for me, so the MCU now has got a problem to me. It seems like they're churning out good, not great, and even in some cases mediocre content.
Yeah.
Do you think
My
the MCU has a problem right now? Because we have to acknowledge this. Even though me and you really love Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and
it
you
could have been
really
better.
enjoyed this film,
Could
you
have been
have to
better.
acknowledge that these films are very divisive amongst
Yeah.
critics and amongst
Yeah.
fans.
And I'll say this because this is what I was talking about on Twitter was, and I will gladly pull up my tweet if you'd like me to.
Sure, go ahead.
In summary, basically, and when I pull it up, I will elaborate further on it. Hold on. Share. All right, there we go. And I wrote, it's absolutely hilarious that people who see that Thor: Love and Thunder got a B plus rating and call that mediocre. Like what? I would get it if it got a D, but it got a high B. With that idea, my grades are hella mediocre. And that is my idea. Is this movie got a good rating, but I wanted to make a reply to it, but I think I was texting someone at the same time as I was tweeting, and so I had to get back to that. My big thing with this is yes, a B plus is a good score. We have to acknowledge that is a good film still. What I think for me and you, I don't know what your cutoff is. I think my cutoff for saying yeah, that's not really great is a like B minus or C plus. That's when I start to be like, okay, that's not a good movie then, or that's not a great movie. But B plus, 87%, that's not bad. I think what that shows me, good movie, could have been better.
So, just for comparison's sake, it's the second lowest ever for an MCU film for cinema score.
Yeah, and that's
It's
just bullshit.
on par with Thor and Multiverse of Madness, and it's only above Eternals. And it's the same one. It's the same score as Venom 2. Don't ask me how that's a B plus film.
And that's the other thing that we need to remember is that, and that's talking from critics, correct, or audience?
Audience, I believe. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's
I
critics.
I think it's critics because there's no way this movie got an, and what was it? What was how low? What was the score that was barely above Eternals?
It was Strange and Thor: Love
No,
and
what's the
Thunder.
score
Oh, B
percentage?
plus. It's a B plus.
And yeah, and so that's the other thing that we need to remember is if these films are getting those kinds of grades, that's still good, just not the best. Like my thing is this is I think perfect quality to strive for Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, Avengers Infinity War, Spider-Man No Way Home. Those are the quality of film you should always be striving to go for. But if it's a little below it, that's not bad in my opinion. It just could have been better.
I agree. It's just my thing is we're churning out so much content that I'm not getting the quality.
Yeah.
And I don't think a film is necessarily inherently bad if it's controversial. Hence The Last Jedi. Some people think it's the best Star Wars film ever. Some
Mhm.
people think it's the worst, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that determines quality. But in
Mhm.
the MCU's case, they have a history in the Infinity Saga of having movies that are both critically acclaimed, like
Yeah.
loved,
Mhm.
Guardians, Winter Soldier, Civil
And
War, Infinity
Endgame.
War,
Yeah.
Endgame, and also loved by the audience, loved by the fans. And in this case, I am talking about junkies. I'm talking about the more hardcore fan, not the average fan. The average fan will like this film, likes
Mhm.
most MCU films.
Yeah.
The the hardcore fan though online and through discourse I've been seeing, they think there's controversy, there's divisiveness. The MCU is having a hard time right now getting 100%er, like a show where
Yeah.
everybody loves it or a movie.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think
even
that,
though, yeah,
yeah, and I think the problem with the MCU, and I think Star Wars is kind of facing it. I think Star Wars is always going to be controversial, no matter what. I think Star Wars is unfortunately destined to be a controversial franchise. It could literally produce the greatest movie or TV series of all time, and you'll still have people saying it's unnecessary, it's the worst, bad writing, blah blah blah. But I think with the MCU, they produce so much content. Just think this year, how much in the last 2 years have we gotten since the return of, or the introduction of the Disney Plus shows, the return to movies? What
I
we're,
mean, 7 movies itself, and then like seven
and
or eight
yeah. And
Disney
my,
Plus properties.
the problem is with that is you're not giving writers the time they need. And what I mean by that is think
And
about it like
also,
this.
some stuff it just doesn't feel as high as stakes. Like with
Yeah,
the first 3 phases, I felt like every movie, even if it was somewhat inconsequential,
yeah,
I felt the stakes because they
yeah,
felt big because they would still play to the rest of the phase and the Infinity Saga at
yeah.
large.
Like I
This I
think,
feel like very much. This is very much the phase one of whatever they're setting up here,
yeah,
but it all feels so discombobulated. Like, how
yeah.
is Moon Knight going to connect with Miss
And
Marvel? Like, I'm
and
like,
that
what?
and that's my problem is, again, it's obvious where we're going to Secret Wars, but given that only 3 projects have set it up so far, or 4 projects, sorry, have set it up so far out of the almost 16 that we have, and you can kind of see the problem that we're laying is, yes, Moon Knight was an amazing series, top tier Marvel content right there. Okay, but when are we going to see him again? He's not a major player in Secret Wars. Are we just going to all of a sudden make him significant? I thought we were told that he's kind of a one off. What about the Eternals? Are we going to see them again? We know we're going to see them again, but when? That movie didn't do very well critically and by the fans. So, and we know Disney's kind of mantra with that: if the fans didn't like it and the critics didn't like it, well, then kind of just shove it under the rug. What about Black Widow? Are we going to get any more prequel films? Are we going to go back to the early phases of Marvel? So that's kind of my problem with Phase 4. It sets up a lot. We're going to a big event. We're going to one of the biggest events in the comic books, and that is Secret Wars. but we're not there yet. And what I think me and you agree, we're thinking 2025 release for that movie.
2026, I'd say, yeah.
2025, 2026. I don't see how we're getting there, especially
And with
coming off
everything
of
else
Thor.
on the docket, I mean, we look at it right now. I mean, we know we're going to get a Fantastic Four film,
Yeah.
Blade, uh, Cap 4. The only other one I could project right now I see set up is Quantumania, and from what I'm reading, they just had a press screening last night. It's going to be a great film. I can't wait to.
Good. Good,
I'll
because
talk about the.
Ant-Man and the Wasp was awful.
I'll talk a little bit about the leaks with you maybe off air, but
Mm.
just with this mini discussion, I think we do agree that the MCU has just a formula problem. I think it's just kind of
And
fallen flat
and I
right
think the
now.
other problem the MCU has,
We're oversaturated with it. I think I should say.
quantity over quality is the current motto of Disney right now. Quantity, because here's the thing: everybody's gonna go see this movie, so they're gonna get their money's worth. If fans don't like it, who cares? They got their money's worth and more
Right.
and more.
Yep.
And that's gonna be my problem. But I also want to strive to people, and this is a big argument, and I absolutely hate this argument when it comes to any kind of talk, video game, TV, movie, whatever. Well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. That is an awful sentiment to hold, Drew. Do you know why that's an awful sentiment? Because that means you're showing complacency with bad content.
Right.
If I'm a big supporter of Marvel, and let's say I absolutely hate Miss Marvel. I think it's the worst thing I've ever watched before. I should be striving to tell Disney that they need to do better. But we have to remember that we have to be respectful about it. And I feel like that's the problem is you run into those two camps with people right now in Marvel is you either get the people who hate everything that Marvel's doing just because, or you get the people who are just like, well, if you don't like it, leave. Because we like consuming bad content. Again, I think Thor Love and Thunder was a prime example. Taika probably should have taken 3 extra months to write the script. Because, or better yet, this film should have been like 20 minutes longer.
Oh, I feel that one.
Because again, there's so much here, little substance shown for it. So,
yeah.
And I think that's my big thing. Because again, we haven't even talked about a lot of this movie. Like we're missing basically everything from like the middle act of this movie. But you got to remember the big talking points are the beginning and the end.
Yeah. I mean, now to get back to the film, I got to ask because some people are saying this character takes a really interesting arc. To me, she didn't have an arc. Valkyrie. What was she in this film?
I don't agree with your thing. I really liked her. I really liked her conversation with Korg about her girlfriend who died from Hela. I really liked it. I like how it's a continuation that Valkyrie never recovered from that. She wasn't all of a sudden out sober. She still drinks because she's still depressed about what happened.
Right. Korg talks about that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy just to think like, yeah, she hasn't gotten over it yet. And we don't even know how long ago that happened. That probably happened 1,000 years ago.
Right.
Like, damn, could you like imagine how has she not died from sadness yet? Like, Padme, come on now. What are you doing here?
Right. Yeah, she just felt like she was there. Like she had that one scene, but she just felt like she was there. And by the way, Gore is, oh my God, was I mortified. Like he was fantastic in that scene when he's taunting Thor.
Yes.
He's like, call the axe.
Mm-hmm.
Call the axe. I'm like, yo. And then he's like, what I really love is the parallel that they try to make between Gore and Jane. Two beings who possess powers of gods now, right?
And are dying.
And are dying from it and eventually do die from it, which I really love. I really love that parallel.
Yeah.
It was really well done. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, that was absolutely mortifying in that him in that scene. Him taunting Thor. And yeah, just to go back to Valkyrie, it felt kind of stale to me. Like we understood that in Ragnarok that her being the only one to survive of the Valkyrie against Hela was already there. I didn't need that extra layer, I guess.
Mm, mm,
I already like she lost everybody. Okay, now the added context that she had a girlfriend, presumably she had a significant other.
mhm.
That one's just like, okay, I could understand that being the case, but she lost everyone there. I already knew that, so like that's like it didn't really to me. It just didn't add enough. I didn't feel like there was a lot of development for her, and I just don't understand how people said that she took a significant arc in this film. She felt like she was just
Yeah.
there. She was just
Again,
helping in the fight.
my thing was this. I thought she was really good, but I don't feel like she was the standout of this movie. I don't.
Like I feel like Korg had more development. That Korg did have more development than her.
Yeah, I mean, Korg is a father.
Yeah, Korg is also a dad now,
Yeah.
and he got
Also,
his body back.
it's so funny seeing uh people get mad that Korg had a baby with a guy.
Who cares?
Literally, that's
He's a
how
rock.
that's how Cronins reproduce with men. I don't think there is such thing as a female Cronin
By the way, where's Meek in this film?
on New Asgard. We saw Meek
I know, but he's like
being
barely
very
in the film.
being very distracting.
Yeah, very distracting.
I mean, how are you gonna make Meek interesting?
No, Korg was great. I love
Love
Korg.
Korg. Love
The
Korg.
asshole joke is right up
Listen,
there
the
with
asshole.
like him losing his body was pretty funny, and I was right. I said we would see his god, which I knew, but I kind of didn't want to give away, but I knew that. By the way, I knew basically everything. Like I knew everything down to the fact that like Civ lost her arm.
So it's so weird, bro. How are you gonna hype up bringing Jamie Alexander back and then use her for 2 minutes, dude? Oh my,
She's in the end of the film. She's still alive. She's still out
she
there. So
she got paid $10 to come back. Like, it's so bad.
$10 in a lunch bag. Yep.
Yeah, $10
Um,
in a potential return.
um, I love also how they make the joke about the Warriors 3, like, and these three guys.
And this guy and this guy and all the other guys.
I like the
Um,
subtle jabs at Thor and Thor: The Dark World. That was pretty funny. By the way,
yes, but also
no
a jab at
Loki.
Ragnarok.
No Loki.
He was there. He was a flashback, but of things we already saw. I don't know, man.
Which it's weird though, because Thor has a list on the back, and Loki there's a question mark. He still thinks he's out there. He's dead. We know he's dead, but
Yeah, we know he's dead, but like, so I
that
have a
would be
question for
that would
you.
be the ultimate prank. That would be the
Yeah,
ultimate prank.
yeah. So my question for you, because I don't think there's really much on Omnipotent City was cool. Wish we stayed there for longer, but sure. The
I told
gods
you
are a
it was
bunch of
short.
assholes. They're a bunch of assholes, bro.
Zeus is a dick.
Literally.
He's cool.
I was not expecting them to uncensor Thor's ass, by the way. I was like, whoa!
You flicked
Oh,
too hard, damn it.
I'm a minor. I was just like,
I
what is
love
going
I then I
on?
love when he's like, as guardians, now I will flick your disguise and then Jade
They're
and
like, no,
Valkyrie.
no, disguise is off. That was so fun. What would happen if you did it to Korg? Flick! Flick your
But what
disguise
happened
off.
with which by the way, I do love the lightning bolt.
Yes.
Like you
I
could
thought,
fold it, like you could fold it too, you could spin it, you
Mhm.
could do all the tricks with it.
Yeah.
And I love how I really wish he just died. That was a satisfying death.
Yes. So I literally, here's the thing, is I told you this yesterday. I knew he survived, but I'm telling you, bro, when he dropped, my jaw dropped. I was like, what?
I also love how Thor was a fanboy of him, not his own father.
I know. I'm very inspired by him. And then I like how also when he's talking to the kids, never meet your heroes. And they're all
Yeah.
just like, you're our
What?
hero. Yeah, again, there's a lot to love about this movie. Like, let's not take away from that. There's a lot to love about this movie. There's just a lot to not like either. And I think that's kind of my big quick synopsis about this movie is love Gore, had my problems with him. Love Jane, had my problems with her. Love Thor, had my problems with her.
Gore the child scarer, not even the God Butcher.
No,
Like,
not Gore the
I
God
literally
Butcher.
could have just had a scene when the Guardians are looking at all the distress calls where he's literally just slicing gods in half. Like, just all I needed was
No.
that. Like, just a scene.
Yeah.
Because I still felt frightened by him, but like physically as a threat, I don't know.
Yeah.
He was lacking. By the way, I really enjoyed the fights. Like, I love how he would like go become a shadow and then come back out of
Yeah.
nowhere. I loved his use of the necro sword. Um,
But yeah, I think my
again,
big
would you? Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Would you say where would you put him as a villain?
Not in the top 5. Tell you that
No,
much.
because I definitely would. Just because I
No.
think he has a very,
He's
very fantastic arc.
great
Even though he doesn't have a lot
motivation
of
and whatnot,
screen time.
but not the greatest. Like when I think of best villains, Loki, Thanos. You're gonna. I think I'm gonna get a lot of flack. Yellow Jacket.
Yeah, he's a sleeper.
He is, bro. Great motivation, great story. He's gonna come back as MODOK. Like, give me.
As someone's assistant.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yep.
You don't know, but you will know.
I do know. I'm gonna say now. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I know a lot of people love Wenwu. I didn't care for him as a villain.
That's a bad take.
I didn't care for him, bro. Trying to go through all the movies like quickly in my head and.
All right, I'll say this.
Bucky.
Yeah.
Oh, I need one more.
Ultron?
Who?
Ultron?
Nah. Wanda.
Vulture?
What? Oh, Vulture! Oh shit!
I'm gonna say this. Loki, Thanos.
No, man, you can't put Gore in the top 3.
Gore.
You can't. Yep. He had 8 minutes of screen time.
Doesn't matter. He's still a top tier villain. His story, I think it's the best part of this film. His story is really well done, even at a short amount of time. Really well done. I love the parallels. I love how it ends for him. He's a menace, but at the same time, you feel sympathy for him. And it's a great ending for his character. Even though it was short-lived, it's fantastic. And I am also my top 5. I would put Wenwu.
I cannot justify putting Wenwu in there, bro. I'd
put Bucky 3. I'll put Gore 4.
Here's my thing: is Wenwu had an awful death. He died for no reason. Again, he could have easily just shot the rings up at the soul thing and dead.
But Gore has like almost like everything you want in a villain. You feel sympathy for him, right? He's got an interesting backstory,
but not really. And I think the problem
is it's bro. In the first 5 minutes, you see this dude's daughter die, and then literally his god make fun of him. Like his whole world is turned upside down.
Yeah, but again, I think the problem is I
imagine this. Imagine your whole belief system is changed in a second. Your whole belief system is gone.
My thing with this is I wish they would have built it more. I wish we just spent more time with just Gore. No one else. Yeah, just have Gore like.
Also, the scene with him and the snake and the children is terrifying.
Oh my goodness! When he's like, oh, well, he liked it a minute ago.
Yeah.
I was just okay. That's a little psychotic. But I think also
I
know. Like, I put him at 6 or 7. I couldn't put him in the top 5. He's not a bad. He's not a bad villain. He's just not in top 5 worthy. I'm rethinking. I've just rethought it. Thanos, Loki, Yellow Jacket. I'm going back and forth between my 4, 5, and 6.
Yellow Jacket is really high. I mean, I think he's top 10, but I don't think he's because he's kind of lacking like power skills.
Wanda. And
Uh,
then I'm
she's good.
really I'm going back and forth. It's a close fight between Bucky and Vulture. They're like on top. They're like this to each other, bro. You can barely even see it. One of them is literally like a
But
grain above them.
I would also say, like, besides Loki and Thanos, I think Bale is the third best, like, performance. Like, his
Yes,
performance
yes,
elevates it
great
too.
performance.
His performance
Yes.
elevates it. That's another reason why I would.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I just think also just like it's so weird. I have this problem, and I think everybody who watches film has this problem. Is anytime you see an actor that you remember them from a big role, you're gonna like, oh hey, it's Batman.
I didn't
I
get
did
that though.
not feel this
Right.
with Christian Bale. I was like, it's Gore the God Butcher. And honestly, if you ask me right now, like I don't know if I could guarantee, but if you ask me in like a year, and when you think of Christian Bale, what performance? I think I might go back and forth of saying Batman or Gore the God Butcher. Oh, oh, goodbye, guys. He's gone. Oh,
What?
dude, it was a good performance. Like, go
Oh,
him. What? When I think of Batman, I think of Robert Pattinson. Like, straight up. I know, you're cringing at it. Look, if you don't want me to think about it like that, well, then you should have told Matt Reeves to not make a good movie. Blame Matt Reeves for making a
I
great
think
character.
Batman is still my favorite comic book film this year. It might be my favorite film of the
Oh,
year,
yeah, by far.
besides Top Gun Maverick. Um,
Top Gun Maverick was not good. Stop.
it's because you didn't watch the first film. That's on you. This is like
Exactly.
no, it's like you watch a Return of the Jedi without watching A New Hope
It
and
would be a
Empire.
banger. Return of the Jedi was my first Star Wars movie.
What?
Yeah. Like, what do you mean?
Okay, never mind
What do
then.
you
My analogy did
mean?
not work. My analogy did not work, but still.
What do you mean? What do
Um,
you know?
what? Uh,
No, literally though, it's just like
your takes have been atrocious the last minute, by the way.
no. When I think of Batman, or when I think of live action Batman, I should say, I think of Robert Pattinson. When I think of Christian
Emo
Bale,
boy.
it's gonna either come up to him as Batman or him as Gore. I'm not saying it's definitely Gore.
Not
It's
Patrick
either
Bateman.
no, no, not me, not for me, no. I don't know, man. It's just like I think the best way to sum up this movie, because I think we've talked pretty good amount about it. Great movie, should have been 20 minutes longer.
I can't say it's a great movie. I'm gonna say it's a good to okay movie. It suffers from like again
No.
massive just basic plot things. Like it's like not things are there are a lot of convenient things that happen.
Yes. Like, oh, Gore can suddenly use Stormbreaker effectively.
Somehow Thor knows where to go. Did I miss a
Oh,
line? Like I felt like when I'm watching it, I'm like,
he talks about he knows where he's going. And Valkyrie tells him he's going to the center of the universe. So it's just like I'm sure Thor knows like where that is, but it's just like I wish we could have seen again the one thing, and you said it. I wish we could have just got Thor being upset about Stormbreaker being gone, about and the other my
I
other
feel the
thing,
impended doom of him
yeah.
dying.
Or better yet, here's a plot thing that we can just all cling to. Why did Thor just not call Stormbreaker back? Like, I don't get it.
Would have taken a while, but
it wouldn't have been with Gore. So I don't know. I
maybe
mean,
it's a thing like he has to like sense where like a directional, but that
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. I just
I don't know, because when he talks about throwing Mjolnir in Ragnarok, he says nothing will stop it coming back to my hand.
right.
So maybe
So-
Thor was being cognizant of, oh, Stormbreaker might, I don't know, go through a planet, might go through a supernova. I can get that, but like, come on. Stormbreaker, as we clearly saw, is a sentient being now. So
It drank alcohol at his first
I
beer.
don't-
So
I
was
don't-
Mjolnir.
I don't get that, by the way. I do not understand why they're sentient. I understand, like, oh, Mjolnir can pick who it wants to be worthy to. Like we see Thor tell Mjolnir to protect Jane,
Yeah, then the insignia
and
of
then it makes the
right.
Odin Sun insignia. Cool, but it's a person.
It's an entity. A
Can I
sentient
have
entity.
sex with my axe? Can I reproduce Mini Stormbreaker?
You gotta
I,
hold its hand. Like
I
the
am.
Cronins do.
I am.
By a fire though, by a lava pit.
Oh yeah. There you go. We just don't have a fire near us, so we can't reproduce.
Um
What was Korg's significant other?
I have no idea. But he had a nice mustache.
My family or
And
my
he
theater loved it.
and he looked much older than Korg.
Much older. Korg, we might have to have a discussion about age appropriation.
No,
But
but
but to be fair, on that same note, also Jane was trying to date a 1,500-year-old person. So
yeah. By the way, you didn't like the second post credit scene? Why? I thought it was really good.
bro, I did not need to see Valhalla. Set something else up. Set up Secret Wars. Stop. I don't. If you're gonna kill off Jane, let her die. Just like let it burn. Let the past die. Like
Well,
go away. You're
so
dead.
the reason I loved it was because Jane doesn't die in battle.
Yeah, she does. She dies fighting Gore.
She's still alive. She doesn't die until she's in Thor's arms. When Gore is talking to Eternity. Remember what?
No, but
No, remember
her
what
death.
Thor says to Civ. Civ
your
technically
arm.
is gonna.
Your arm might be in Valhalla.
So yes, she technically did not die in battle, but
What kind
she
of?
went to
Because
Valhalla because she fought cancer.
I
She
mean, yeah, she
battled with
can't.
cancer, and it's a
She.
really good message to people who
As
are fighting cancer, and
I
that's the
was
deeper
gonna
meaning to
say,
me,
yeah.
and why I loved it. And it was also great to finally see Valhalla and
It looks
to
like
get the indication that Odin, Frigga, and Loki are literally like right
yeah.
up there. Like the indication that they're all there was pretty cool to me. And
Yeah,
I loved seeing Heimdall again.
I wonder if we're gonna see a thing where like Jane gets revived.
No comment.
No, whoa. Do we have to?
Rumored solo project. Her as a Valkyrie.
I was gonna say, are we gonna have to talkie about something?
Which I wouldn't mind but that's
No.
another problem I have. Like, I love the chemistry between Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson, but
So
it's like
good.
not established about why it happened. It's just like Jane has the powers of Mjolnir, and now they're friends. It's like, okay, interesting. Again, it's just like I feel like there could have been extra scenes explained and stuff, or better explanations.
Not
Like
good.
conceptually, this movie has a lot of interesting stuff. Plays with
Yep.
the idea of cancer, uh, a love story. By the way, I like their romance much more in this film. It's much more believable. Believable.
Believe in all.
And I like generally like was sad at the end. I didn't cry or anything, but I was like, ah, oh, damn, this sucks. Like
Yeah.
Thor finally gets the girl back and she's dead. Again, not my favorite Natalie Portman relationship. But
Oh yeah, what's your favorite?
Anakin.
Said no one ever.
You got to read Brotherhood because they go down in that book.
Bro, their relationship in the Clone Wars is amazing.
True.
But you know who's not acting in that? Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman.
It's
Sorry.
Catherine Tabor.
But
Now I am a Jedi.
what was I gonna say? What were we talking about? Yeah, this film conceptually has a lot of good ideas. The execution is not there, but I will say what makes this film great is even though the build up towards the final third act, the final end isn't great, the ending stuck the landing for me. And the thing you remember the last is the ending of the film. And I thought the end was one of the better ones in Phase 4 and one of my favorite of the MCU because, like I said, I love the parallels between Gore and Jane, them both dying from the godly powers that they possessed. Gore's journey as uh, a nomad to a uh, man who was hurt and distraught. His whole ideals were taken away, and then getting his hope back, bringing his
Yeah.
hope back through his daughter, and then him entrusting to God to take care of her, and Thor being a dad or an uncle or whatever the hell we're calling him now.
Well, she
Super
calls him
excited.
Uncle Thor, so
Right, but it's definitely played off as a father-daughter relationship, which I like, which I'm really excited for. And do we want to now speculate about where this is all going in Thor 5? What's up?
Hercules versus Thor.
Yeah, it makes sense, but they're friends in the comics. I think it's going to be a thing like they fight, and then they're like, oh, damn, Zeus is the bigger problem. And we already saw that Zeus is super powerful. Like, he literally survived a lightning bolt going through his chest.
Supercharged lightning bolt too.
Yes, with the power of Thor and Zeus combined.
Yeah.
So, what are your early predictions for Thor 5? And do you want Taika still working on it?
Of course, I want no one else working on it but Taika. Um, my predictions for Thor 5. I think it's going to be kind of what we just said, him versus Hercules, and then Hercules and Thor versus Zeus.
Don't forget about Love.
What?
That's her name. Love.
That's an awful name for a child. I'm
Love.
sorry.
Love.
I would cry if that was my name. Excuse me, love, can you come eat? No, I hate you.
By the way, she doesn't look like one of Gore's species, though. It's like really weird.
No, at the beginning she did, and now she looks human.
But she's like, my thing is like, how powerful could she be? Because she's literally born out of eternity.
I know. It's giving me
We
hope,
see that
Drew.
we
It's
see that
giving me
she
hope.
has like a purple power set because they're like.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for her, man. I'm really excited to see her and Thor together, father daughter duo. Yeah, this movie is the best way I could put it, it's a good mess. Like you can
Yeah.
if you tune your brain out and like just you thought it was paced okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't feel something where it was just like, oh, we're here. Oh, we're there. Oh, okay, movie's over. I felt like I said earlier, I felt like there needed to be more.
Yeah, and I do feel like there was a little bit of a Russian to me. That's why I felt like scenes were missing. Just like you were saying, and that's what it felt movie went by like zoom, 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 zoom. Like they
Yeah.
fought like 2 times within 10 minutes. I'm like, what is? Just
Uh-huh.
slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I'd give this film. I'm toggling between a 7.5 and an 8. I'll give it a 7.75, I guess. 7.75.
Oh man. I gotta give this movie a pretty good 8.5.
Whoa, that's just too high for me, man. Like
But
an eight
again,
five for me would be in the top 10.
I think for me also though, the way that I look at some of my top 10 movies, my top 10 are almost all like 9s to 10s. Like I have to think I probably have like 3 or 4 10 out of 10 movies, and then the rest are either 9.5s or 9.75s. But
Got it.
I think at the end of the year you'll see it when we do our end of year ranking. What we're gonna do. But I also think with this, I think the Marvel movies you can't rank them. I think you have to look at Marvel movies in a tier list form. Because I feel like looking at them in a tier list is so much easier because you can easily separate them. Because I can't tell you that I think Iron Man 2 or Thor the Dark World are better than each other. I think they're equally garbage. So, yeah, I think you summed it up well. It's an amazing mess.
Yeah, very Taika in nature. If you like, I mean, this is a film you enjoy with the family. I think it's fine. It's good. Um, Not great, and I think it's kind of an amalgamation of the problems the MCU has now. It's kind of become formulaic. Like the formula is just it's oversaturation, I feel like. And we're gonna eat it up still, but it's like,
Yeah, we're gonna be
man,
here.
there's been good. I mean, the only project I think has been Loki's good, Moon Knight's really good. Like those two are good. Shang-Chi's good. Multiverse of Madness is pretty good. There's only
Well,
been one great out of 13 projects, and that's No Way Home to me. There's
yeah,
only been one great. That's like there's phase 3, there's almost all are great, right? So
eh,
like
eh, eh.
almost I said.
Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Almost all.
Far From Home.
But Infinity War, Endgame, Black
Civil
Panther,
War,
Civil War.
Ant-Man
Come
and the
on.
Wasp.
That stretch though.
That what?
That stretch, that 2016 and 2019 stretch.
Mm-hmm. Peak
Sheesh.
Marvel right there. Honestly,
Yeah.
though, underrated phase, and I think the best phase might be phase 2.
So where would you rank phase? I would say phase 4 is just ahead of phase 1, but
Yeah,
below phase 2 and 3.
yeah. I think if I went from best to worst, 3, 2, 4, 1.
Yep. Yep. I 100% agree. Got anything else?
Nah, man. I'm excited. We now look forward for Marvel. We look forward to, I think, August 31st or whatever. She-Hulk.
17th.
17th. Sorry,
Andor's the 31st.
that's Andor. We look towards August 17th for She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Alex totally forgot that the finale of Miss Marvel is this Wednesday. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh shit. Sorry. Again, perfect finale was last week.
Yeah, so we got the Miss Marvel finale Wednesday. We'll be back Wednesday to talk about that. Probably the news about Kingpin and Daredevil going to be in Echo.
Yep.
A little bit about the fact that Taika's Star Wars film is filming in 2023, according to the Hollywood Reporter.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll probably discuss whatever else comes out. So thank you for watching our Thor Love and Thunder review. It's been a great discussion. I had so much fun. As always, may the force be with you, and especially for this film, may you stay burdened with glorious purpose. Even though he wasn't in it, his spirit was still there. Peace out, everyone.